Hello and welcome to the Jerry Hicks Show, exclusively on the Censored Freedom Network. Now, the man that thought MAGA extremism was a new part of the X Games, your host, Jerry Hicks.
Thank you so much, Dave, and thank you everybody for being here on this Tuesday, March the 18th, 2025. We're glad to have you all along for the ride. We've got a lot of news to get into tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of activist judge news. We've got news on the JFK files, huge news on the JFK files, and much, much more. But before we get into that, quick shout out to everybody listening, whether you are on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, or X. We really appreciate having all you guys along for the ride. Speaking of X, this is your daily reminder. X does not believe in free speech, not unless you give them money. Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk is an absolute liar. He said in 2022 that X would be a free speech public forum. What he didn't mention is you only get to use the free speech public forum if you pay $8 a month or $83 a year. If you just go on there as a free user, you might as well go downtown and just start talking to the wall, because you'll have a better chance of people walking by hearing your message than you will putting it on X. So, daily reminder, X does not believe in free speech. Apparently, the blood of our soldiers in this country was not enough for them. They also need $8 a month on top of that. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop on over here to our news rack and see what we have waiting, starting with our daily Doge report. As pathetic as he is with free speech, he is at least doing something good for this country. For the past 2 weeks, Social Security has begun a major cleanup of their records. Approximately 3.2 million number holders, all listed age 120 plus, have now been marked as deceased. More work still to be done. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be times where every now and again they're going to get one wrong. They're going to mark somebody deceased that is not. That has happened every year for as long as I can remember. This isn't a thing just because Doge came into place. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the X platform does not believe in free speech. Before that blue check mark, I couldn't get out to more than 2 or 3 people. Now I get way out. Like 47 people seen the show this morning, or it was shown to 47 people, whether they watched it or not. Leading up to this, it would be shown to 1, maybe 2 people a day, if that. So, ladies and gentlemen, X does not believe in free speech, so don't fool yourself if you're a free user over here thinking you're actually going to be able to talk to people. You will not. Once again, folks, DOJ refuses to give Judge Boasberg sensitive information on national security related to deportation flights. So, this judge, thinking that he has usurped the presidency, apparently, believing himself to be the leader of this country, said that he demands that these questions be answered, or else. How many planes departed on U.S. on Saturday carrying anyone based in proclamation? How many people in each category? What foreign countries did they land? What time did they take off? What did they wear? What time were they in U.S. airspace? When did they land in the country? None of these questions is any business of this judge. He's not the president. He has no authority over the president or authority over the Alien Enemies Act. As pointed out by Stephen Miller yesterday, the Supreme Court can't even rule on the Alien Enemies Act. It is beyond judicial review. There's not a judge in this country that can stop this. They can try. They can act like they're doing something. They can threaten sanctions. But ladies and gentlemen, this judge is absolutely powerless. And it makes one wonder, why does he want gangbangers in this country? Why does he want people that hate this country in this country, unless he also hates this country? But there could be another reason, ladies and gentlemen, as Laura Loomer has been able to point out. The conflict of interest between himself and his daughter, who works for a 501c3 that just happens to deal with migrants. That's right. Let's see here. Given his daughter's employment at a group that advocates for criminal illegal aliens and is funded by U.S. government grants, Judge Boasberg should not be granted any sensitive information about deportation flights. His family is a national security threat, she says. And she's right. And what's even crazier is now the Trump administration can apply to have the judge recused because he has a personal interest in this case. His daughter is making money off of these kind of cases. So when he demands that these illegal alien gangbangers who hate this country and want to kill you and every American, when he demands these people be brought back into this country, he's doing it so his daughter can get more money. He don't care about you. He don't care about America. He don't care about his own job. What he cares about is getting his daughter paid instead of the safety of American people. Another corrupt Obama judge, Judge Chutkin, we've heard a lot from this dumbass, temporarily blocks Lee Zeldin from clawing back the $20 billion that the EPA slush fund slung out right before the administration started. We know that they were doing this on purpose to try to hurt this country once more, to try to make sure that they get what they want. To hell with the American people, to hell with the taxpayer, to hell with the way things are supposed to go. And then you've got these dirty-ass judges who think they're going to, again, usurp the power of the presidency and decide that they're not going to let anything Trump does go forward. Every single one of these judges need to be removed from the bench. Normally, I'm all about following the judicial and following the court order, and, so be it. But when you've got judges that are just giving court orders out of activism and not the law, then I have a major, major problem with this. Let's see if we can find where this dumbass judge wrote what she said in her order. Apparently, this money is being held at a city bank and will not be restored to the 8 nonprofits yet. When the court asked EPA to proffer evidence justifying its decision given the terms of agreement, its only response was refer to the termination letter, which is the only response it needs. She don't run the country. She wasn't elected. She wasn't put into place. She's not the head of the EPA. She's not the president. She doesn't get to make these kind of decisions, especially a friggin' circuit court judge that's got no bearing on anything whatsoever. Another judge, Obama judge, says Doge violated the Constitution when it shut down USAID. The problem? Doge didn't shut down USAID, ladies and gentlemen. Trump did. He orders Doge to reinstate employee access to the systems of USAID. For the foregoing reasons, the court finds the defendant's actions is taken to shut down USAID on an accelerated basis, including its apparent decision to permanently close headquarters without the approval of a duly appointed USAID officer. Likely violate the United States Constitution in multiple ways. No, it doesn't. That these actions named not only plaintiffs, but also the public interest. Oh, the interest that people want to stop paying with USAID? Whose public interest is he referencing? Because the public that voted for Donald Trump, the majority of this country, do not want this money going out. He says they've deprived the public's elected representatives in Congress of their constitutional authority to decide whether, when, and how to close down an agency created by Congress. No, they didn't. Trump can close this agency down immediately. He's got the authority. He is the CEO. He is the head of the company of the United States of America. He's the one the American people voted in. All these activist judges are doing nothing but hurting the Democrats and hurting themselves and hurting this country. Another judge that needs to be absolutely removed from the bench, Theodore Schwang, an Obama appointee, ordered Elon Musk and Doge to reinstate all of USAID's functionality. Personally, I think they need to tell this judge to go sit on a stick. Yeah. He needs to go find himself on the giving end of a stick. Because this isn't going to happen. They can order all they want. They have no enforcement ability. How can a judge force the executive branch to allow USAID to continue to fund proven waste, fraud, and abuse? Ladies and gentlemen, they cannot. I think they should take this order, rip it up, and burn it. Because that's about all it's worth. Another judge thinking they're going to... Apparently the judges have got together and decided they're going to run this country and they're going to stop anything the actual president tries to do. Which is dirty. And any of these judges that are standing in the way need to be removed from the bench. Period. Period. Judge Reyes granted a preliminary injunction in Tabet versus United States, blocking the Trump administration executive order and policy enacted by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. The order, which stated the military service by transgender individuals as inconsistent with military readiness and unit cohesion, was challenged by a group of transgender service members. Folks, they're trying to destroy this country. They want USAID to continue to give our money away to places it has no business going. They want the military to be as weak as ever-loving possible. I want to know how many of these judges are getting paid by China or George Soros. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, Chief Justice Roberts defends the rogue judiciary, slams Trump call for impeaching judges in rare rebuke. So, according to him, for more than 2 centuries it has been established impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that reason. Folks, there should be no review process at this point. They've made clear their stance. If you order against this country and against the will of the American people, then you don't need to be a judge. You need to be removed from the bench. The American people have spoken. This is what they want. So anybody blocking this is blocking the will of the American people. That's unconstitutional. These judges shouldn't be set for life like this. These judges need to be voted in and voted out just like everybody else. I don't agree with stacking the court. I don't agree with putting these judges in here that are absolutely anti-anything America. And yes, I'm very aware that the Constitution lays out how the Supreme Court and how the courts are put together. I completely understand that. It's one part of the Constitution I think needs to change. Because we can't have these judges out here deciding that they're the president of the United States of America. They weren't elected. They don't get to make these decisions. They don't have the information. These people need to be fired, removed, period. Speaking of fired, Democrat Commissioner of the FTC lashes out after Trump fires him, says the president just fired me illegally. Ladies and gentlemen, the president has full authority to dismiss commissioners. President Donald J. Trump is the head of the executive branch and is vested with all of the executive power in our government. I have no doubt about his constitutional authority to remove commissioners, which is necessary to ensure democratic accountability for our government. The Federal Trade Commission will continue its tireless work to protect consumers, lower prices, and police anti-competitive behaviors. Andrew Ferguson, chairman of the FTC, said in a statement. He also went on to say, I wish Commissioners Slaughter and Bedoya well, and I thank them for their service. Ladies and gentlemen, the president has authority to do things in this country. These judges have no basis to stop him, especially this idiot judge that thinks he's going to stop or usurp the power of presidency over the Enemy Aliens Act. The Supreme Court can't even do that. I don't know what makes this judge think that he's above the American people. He's not. He needs to be recused from the bench, not only because of that, but because of his daughter and all that going on. And then again, another lawsuit that's going to be filed against Trump because, oh God, he did what he was able and supposed to do by his own executive powers. Folks, they're trying to rewrite our Constitution right in front of us. If this was Biden, he'd be able to walk on anything he did. Remember when the courts told him he couldn't forgive student loans and he still did it anyway? I think that's what we need to do. We need to ignore these courts as if they're just nothing more than another idiot. I absolutely believe that. Well, Jerry, that's wrong. That's not American. Yeah, that's very American. The American people voted. The American people gave Trump a mandate. These judges trying to step in and usurp the power of the executive branch is anti-American and citizenry. They don't give a shit about you folks. Apparently, these judges have one goal and one goal only: to help the Democrat Party destroy this country from the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, big update today on the JFK files. They are out. Absolutely, they are released. They are over here at the National Archives. As of March 18th, 2025, there's been more releases of information. And when I say more releases, I mean 80,000 pages of releases. These files, part of the JFK Assassination Records Collection, are accessible at National Archives, like I just showed you. Internet sleuths and researchers have been combing through these files and covering what they believe are significant revelations. Below are some of the highlights that have been found so far. Lee Harvey Oswald was reportedly considered a poor shot during his target practice in USSR. JFK files reveal Lee Harvey Oswald was a spy, tried twice to obtain USSR visa from Mexico City. He was considered the most effective and dangerous intelligence officer in Mexico by the Russian consular officer. CIA memo from September 24, 1963 confirms Lee Harvey Oswald was under surveillance by the CIA 59 days before the JFK assassination. Gary Underhill claimed the CIA was responsible for JFK's assassination. Then he was later found dead in what was ruled a suicide, shot in his apartment. Doesn't seem very suicide-y to me. A man named Sergei Zorino alleged he had knowledge that Oswald would be killed after assassinating Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. would also be assassinated. He also knew in advance that Kennedy would be killed in Dallas. It doesn't say how he had this information, and perhaps it does in this document. I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to go through and read all the documents myself. There's a lot of information here. Jack Ruby claimed his decision to kill Oswald was influenced by his Jewish identity. Jack Rubenstein, or Ruby. Mere hours after Jack Ruby shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover urgently called for a swift public report to prevent conspiracy theories from gaining traction. And ladies and gentlemen, this was the birth of the name conspiracy theorist. Because if you didn't believe the official narrative, you were a conspiracy theorist. Lee Harvey Oswald was allegedly under the direction of the KGB officer Kostikov, reportedly linked to Department V. Department V is the Wet Affairs Department of the Soviets. J. Edgar Hoover was asked whether Lee Harvey Oswald was an FBI agent and if there was a conspiracy to assassinate JFK. A letter addressed to then Senator, this is the last one, and this is one of my favorite pieces of evidence of all time, ladies and gentlemen. A letter addressed to then Senator Joe Biden accused him of being a traitor and was signed by John F. Kennedy Jr. And this actually happened right before he was killed. And I say right before, I mean like a day before he was killed, and his plane just happened to blow up, right? Almost like there was a bomb implanted on there to kill JFK Jr. I wonder if Joe Biden was behind that. Let me rephrase. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden was behind that. Oh, I thought that was the last one. It didn't show me these earlier. Must have updated since then, because this wasn't on here earlier. The CIA was intercepting U.S. Postal Service mail sent to the USSR and had 300 CIA members indexing 250,000 names. Holy cow. I've not read any of this either, ladies and gentlemen, so we're all going through this brand new together at this point. An interview with FBI Assistant Director Alan Belmont on May 6, 1964, includes questions about Ruby and Oswald's connection on page 27, but many pages are missing, with the interview supposedly extending on to page 473. A man claiming to be a Polish driver for a Russian vehicle, warning of Soviet plans to pay someone in the U.S. to assassinate the president. Newly released JFK assassination records expose a failed 1955 CIA surveillance op in Havana. Again, I've not read any of this. This was not on here earlier when I checked this story. CIA memo reveals that agency officers claim they couldn't recall Watergate burglar James McCord's involvement in Cuban operations. Couldn't recall. How convenient. Vietnamese general wanted to overthrow the president. 1962 CIA document shows that General Tran Van Ly talked about removing South Vietnam's leader, President Diem, because he feared the country would fall into the hands of the communists. That's interesting. JFK files reveal CIA's extensive global operations, listing 34 secret field bases across Africa, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. And that's all that has been updated so far. JFK files CIA's global web exposed 34 secret bases mapped from Johannesburg to Tokyo. This is fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the data is literally still coming out as they just released 80,000 pages of documents today, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't be happier. I know I've been screaming, where is this information? Why haven't we got it yet? Folks, here we go. We've got it now. We also are looking forward to the RFK files as well as the MLK files. And the UFO UAP files. There's a lot of information coming, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with us. We will get there. There's that activist judge again. Mother of 13-year-old girl is bullied by trans activists at school board meeting for demanding that biological sex locker rooms are enforced, even especially after the president's proclamation. So these trans activists got up here, basically made idiots of themselves, wearing shirts that have a knife on it that says protect trans kids. Is that a violent slogan? I don't understand why they were allowed inside if they're wearing violent slogans on their shirts. But apparently, if you believe in, the natural rule of order, the way that the nature has always been, then you're a bigoted, white supremacist, cisgendered, la-di-da, whatever kind of stupidity they've come up with now. And apparently, according to them, it's better for girls to let boys look at them while they're undressing. It increases their confidence, makes them much better people all the way around. That is bullshit. This is nothing but predatory behavior being pushed by a group. I can't believe we're even allowing this in this country. We were warned back in the 90s, ladies and gentlemen. The pedophiles warned us that this is exactly what they are going to do. They are going to do their best to make it commonplace and normal. They want to normalize pedophilia, folks. That's all these activists are fighting for, is the normalization of pedophilia and sexualization of children. Remember that when it comes time to vote, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that in the midterms. Remember who wanted this country to fail. Remember who has tried to destroy this country every time they've got into power. Remember who wants your children, your little girls, to change with boys. Wants your little girls to be subject to drag queens, to be subject to sexualization in kindergarten. Remember this when you go to the polls. Remember the porn that they put into libraries and told you to deal with it, suck it up. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to the polls for midterms. It is time to destroy the Democrat Party to the point they no longer exist, just like they tried to do to this country. Turnabout is fair play. This is more information on JFK. Far-left NPR reporter. Okay, I'm going to end on a funny note tonight, folks. And we may actually end a little early tonight, surprisingly enough. Far-left NPR reporter who hit Trump in the face with a boom mic goes radio silent. So, yeah, she looks like a leftist. And we're right. Identify the reporter who hit President Trump in the face with a boom mic this week while he was speaking at the press on the tarmac. Her name is Danielle Kurtzleben. She is a newly appointed White House reporter for NPR and a massive Trump hater. and LGBTQAIZVXNLZ whatever, who once suggested during the 2024 campaign that Trump only spoke in Howell, Michigan because of his ties to the KKK. Did she hit him in the face with the microphone on purpose? Should she be removed from her job for doing such? I think so. Then again, maybe it was an accident. Maybe she just accidentally bopped him in the face with it because she's a Trump hater and, it was just an accident. It was all an accident. Again, your daily reminder, X charges $8 a month for free speech. Don't pay and you don't get heard. I can't remind you guys enough of that, folks. I'm not going to let that go. I'm not going to let it go for a second. You're going to hear about that every single day on this show. Because I believe in free speech. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in this country. And I will fight to the death for the right of free speech. I disagree 110% with any and everything the flat earthers say. I think they're a bunch of idiots that just don't understand physics. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, whether I think they're right or not, I will fight to the death for the right to say it. Because it is their right. It may not be correct, in my eyes. It may be factually 100% wrong, but it is their absolute right to say it. Freedom of speech. Does a private company have to abide by the Constitution? They should. They don't, but they should. But when your private company claims to be a free speech public forum, you've given up that. You've given up the private company status. You're now a public forum. Which means free speech is to be expected. If I go downtown to the public forum, right down square, I can talk to anybody. I don't have to pay money to talk to people and let my free speech be heard. But on X, which are touting themselves as a public square, if you don't pay them money, you will be shadow banned, you will be buried, you won't be seen. Again, I just got a follow thank you from somebody that I followed months ago. Why? Because now they're able to see it. They hide you if you don't give them money. That is un-American if you call yourself a free speech platform and a public forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be fixing that, like I said last night. Looks like we're going to end a couple minutes early, folks. My name's Jerry Hicks. This is the Jerry Hicks Show, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another thrilling installment of the news. Lord knows what all we're going to have tomorrow night. Every day gets crazier. It's Christmas, folks. Every day is Christmas in this administration. On behalf of Censored Freedom Network and CD Spivey, my name's Jerry Hicks. This is the Jerry Hicks Show, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Remember, until next we meet, folks, stay awake, but dare to dream. Stand strong, Patriots. Good night, everybody.